everyone's trying to time the perfect market. Does perfect timing, does it actually exist in real estate?
Sharing with real estate agents how to grill loan officers, this setting expectations, there's maybe...
Now, we all know rate is important, right? Because that is a part of the calculation, but is that the only thing? So, hey, everybody, welcome to another episode of the Renown Mortgage Podcast. I am your host, Sean, and as always, here with our founder, Justice Roberts. Justice, how you doing today?
I'm doing great. We had an incredible week of weather last week. We've got a little bit of clouds this week, but hey, we're glad to be in the springtime, and I'm getting a couple of nights of sleep every hour or every. Yeah, you can tell I'm talking. Last night was a little bit rough, but hey, we're here.
That's awesome. Well, no, listen, if you don't know, we've talked about it the last couple of weeks, the Roberts family had a new addition, so they are adapting. And it was one of the funny things that I was having dinner with my wife one night, and she was talking to her friends about our daughter, and she just looked at me. She said, "Wasn't that just a kind of like a wild season when our daughter Reagan, when she just wasn't sleeping?" And I was like, I don't remember that. And so apparently I wasn't a part of the waking hours.
Blessed to forget.
I said, I don't remember that at all. And she's like, okay, all right. So speaking of lack of sleep, now, obviously the market we have seen, application rates are up. We're seeing buyers starting to come off the sidelines. People are listing their homes. We're seeing all of these seasonal moments where we saw something shift in the world or the economy or in the bond market. And so people made a decision. And the minute they made that decision, all of a sudden we saw things changing. The rate of information in our world is changing so much. I think it's almost difficult, but would it be safe to say that buyers almost intuitively are overthinking this market right now? What would you say to that?
I'd say that you're one of two people in this market. Number one, you're someone who is really decisive. You have been clear. You've sat on the sidelines long enough and you're going, hey, this is what normal is. Me waiting for the market to change is like that. I'm done putting my life on hold based off of where interest rates are at. And then you have other people that are tentatively still sitting on the sidelines. And I think that, whether it's the mental gymnastics and going over and over, like, hey, am I going to time this right? Am I going to make a mistake? Am I going to regret this later on? And it's causing people to freeze. I absolutely believe that there's that demographic or there's that other person that's out there in the market.
I think sometimes headlines just give us too much information because you're getting all of these data points and things that we're trying to base our decisions on. The challenge is that headline completely changes in the morning. We're dealing with some difficult things right now globally and economically, but one day's Twitter post is, the next day's, Twitter, 180. Do you think, everyone's trying to time the perfect market. Does perfect timing, does it actually exist in real estate?
I'd say that, you won't know if you timed it right until you're looking at it in a rear view mirror. And I think that's the biggest challenge.
Right. Wow.
When you're looking at, even when how economics, get called, it's always in the arrears. It's always after it's happened. It's like, hey, that was the recession. We didn't know it when we were in it, but like that was the time where we experienced it. And so you almost don't know if you won until you actually took action. And then you look back a year later, 3 years later, and go, holy cow, I bought at the perfect time. And I think that's a good message for buyers to hear right now is actually understanding you probably aren't going to feel it. If we relate it to, a parenting thing, which is very
that's appropriate now. That's good. Yeah,
it's very present. But it's like, hey, are you ready to be a mom and a dad? Like, you never fully 100% feel ready, but that doesn't mean that you're ready. That may actually be a perfect and healthy sign that you're ready to take that step with you having that like pause of counting the cost at the same time as don't take that pause or that wait is like, hey, that's the sign to stop. It's actually the sign to proceed, to take steps forward. So I would say that the confidence comes usually after, the decision has been made, probably not, when you've looked at everything and you go, you know what, logically, I feel good about it now. Let's make the decision.
I think, not to burst everyone's bubble because we want to be gentle. We want to be kind. It's almost fair to say, though, in the mortgage real estate industry, certainty doesn't exist. It's just you can do the very best you can with the best, tour guide as you have, having a loan officer, having a real estate agent that are amazing at what they do and communicative at what they do, and helping you navigate a road that you have not gone down before. This is the largest financial decision the majority of people will make. I always say that, but this is a road that you haven't gone down before, which means there's someone with one of those machetes in front of you cutting cutting these weeds away and saying, hey, listen, this is the road we're going to go down, and we're going to absolutely do the very best we can with the most certainty that we can create. But 100% certainty is, it's a myth, because you haven't gone this way before. So I think the best thing you can do for your own journey is to go with someone who has already taken hundreds of other people down this road, thousands of other people down this road, and have done it successfully, because I think it's one of those challenges. So to kind of move from where we are, what then actually gets buyers moving? Like, what are those pieces that put people together to go, okay, I guess I'm jumping here. We're doing this.
I'd say it starts with making a decision that you're going to do something. So, like, actually making, the
Yeah.
conscious decision with you
Yeah.
and, like,
We're
hey,
going.
I want to buy a house. I
Yeah.
want to
We're
get
going.
into the market. And then it's paired with you actually getting clear on what it is that you want.
Yeah.
And, understanding, okay, what does this financially look like? And how am I going to, like, the how comes after you first decide and then you actually get clear on what it is that you want. And
Right.
I'd say the message for, if I'm having a dialogue, with you here today, but kind of painting a picture, what I think a lot of clients are having is that they are not actually clear. They go, hey, I think
Right.
that I want to buy a house, but I can't envision it. I don't really fully know what it
Right.
actually looks like.
Right.
And like, just from a goal setting perspective, in general, like, you got to get clear that you're moving forward in a direction and what it is that that actually looks like
Right.
paint a clear picture. And
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
the best way that I found to start, to get a clear picture is you start taking steps through
Taking
the
steps.
process. You
Yeah.
have a conversation with a loan officer. You start asking questions. You start figuring out if you're qualified. You start looking at those
Yep.
numbers. You then start looking at properties. You start touring properties. And obviously each one of those, you're building momentum, you're gaining clarity, you're
Yeah.
starting to develop that picture. But if you never start, you'll never start. Like, you at some point you just have to take that step, that leap for some, to actually just go, hey, I'm going to do this.
Right.
And I'm going to put some of the noise to the side. I'm going to set the headlines to the side,
Yeah.
and I'm going to be able to just take some steps forward, because my life, my family, the direction that I'm taking my life is, like, I'm in charge, I'm leading here. And I think having that mentality, like, that's how buyers are going to actually win in this market.
Yeah. I think too much research leads to delay. I think you can research yourself into oblivion, and at some point it's like, if you ever decide you're going to build a home, you can go through Home Depot and go up and down the aisles, but eventually you're going to have to take a 2x4 to the counter. And I think one of the best ways to start that journey is to sit down with a loan officer and say, here's the conversation I want to have about my future. Can you talk to me about this? This is all the things I don't understand. I've researched myself. I think I understand. Can you tell me actually what my numbers are, what it is I need to do to prepare? I think that gets you into that place of at least forward motion and momentum. Would you agree? I think that's probably step one.
I think that's great. I think what I would add to it is that I think when you're actually speaking with an advisor, and this is going to be different because every loan officer you talk with is going to have a little bit of a different bent
Yeah.
and strength. But I think the real loan officers and advisors that are in this market, if you're getting in contact with someone, they're going to be able to give you space to actually be able to emotionally process. Like, what are your fears?
Yeah.
What are your concerns? What are
Yeah.
the things, like, in your worst
Oh,
case
good.
nightmare
Yeah.
that you're playing in your head? What's
Yeah.
the worst case scenario? And
Right.
sometimes it's just like it's all this fear you've created in your mind, which isn't
Right.
even real. But
Right.
you being able to vocalize and go, hey, I feel like I'm afraid that I won't have enough money, to come in for a down payment. Well, do we even know that that's actually real? Or, like,
Right.
what are my different options?
Yeah.
What if I don't, what if I can't, make the monthly mortgage payment? How does that work?
Yeah.
What if I lose my job? Well, sometimes it's like actually just playing it through. Like, what's the worst case scenario? Well, if
Right.
that happened, well, then what would you do? Well, if
Yeah.
that happened, then what would you do? And
Yeah.
you find out, when you start pulling back some of the layers, you're like, holy cow, this probably is a lot more doable. And I've created
Right.
this
Right.
very realistic scenario in my
Yep.
mind that is not very realistic at
Right.
all. It's
A
like
lot of times
my
the worst
worst
thing,
case.
yeah, the
Yeah,
worst thing, yeah, the worst thing you find out is actually it's better news than you thought.
100%.
Yeah.
And I'd say that like when you're with an
So good.
advisor who's actually going to coach you and work with you to answer those questions, I think that it's holistic. It's not just, hey, here's what a loan option is, but it's like, this is your family. You guys are
Yeah.
making a financial decision that's
Yeah.
really important. How
Yeah.
do you do so in a way where you actually feel comfortable? And I think it's just by navigating, that process with somebody who cares.
100%, 100%. That was absolutely perfect. Again, what we're having a conversation about is what is, possibly the largest, financial decision someone ever is going to make. We are here. We want to help you with that journey to contact an advisor and say, hey, can you help me dispel a lot of these fears? That would be really helpful. That's what we're here for. So, hey, if you are liking the information you're getting here, you know someone that would love the information that you're getting here, please like, share, subscribe, all the good things. Until next week, I am Sean with our amazing founder, Justice Roberts. We'll see you next week.